my opinion, the 2022 British Grand Prix was probably the most eventful Grand Prix of the season so far. So many different things happened in the race, and in this video we're going to go over them.
I cannot describe it. Probably the best feeling that you can have as a racing driver to win for Ferrari in such a great place like Silverstone, with this crowd, with so many drivers also coming to congratulate me, feeling a lot of respect for them. It's a very happy day in my life. I'm going to enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, it must be a special moment for Carlos, you know, getting your first Formula 1 win under your belt. You can tick that off your bucket list.
Yeah, it was quite enjoyable. I mean, after lap 1 I was down to last with the contact with Charles. I damaged my front wing. Good recovery for the team to get those points in the pocket.
It must have been fun out there for Checo, you know, incredible comeback, went all the way down to P17, then came back to finish P2. He never gave up, he kept pushing.
At some point it was looking like a P4, P5, and then we got in the mix for the podium and we just went for it.
That kind of shows in Formula 1, you never really know what could happen, because yeah, it did seem like he was going to get a lower position instead of a podium, but then the safety car comes, Checo gets a cheap pit stop, and then that allows him to be right next to Hamilton for the restart.
To be back in the fight, I'm so grateful to be in amongst there.
Of course, Mercedes this season haven't been anywhere near as good as they have been in previous seasons, so yeah, for Lewis to be fighting for the win, obviously he's going to feel happy about that.
I was really hoping that something I was be able to fight for a win, but unfortunately it just wasn't possible.
Yeah, for Lewis, given that it's his home Grand Prix, obviously he would want to win it in front of the British fans, but ultimately he had a great little battle with Charles and Checo near the end.
All was looking good for a victory, but obviously with the safety car at the end we decided to leave the lead car out and to pit the trial car, which was myself and Carlos, and it didn't pay off for me. A big disappointment.
Naturally it's going to be disappointing for Charles because he has a pretty good record at Silverstone coming into this race. I believe he came third twice and second once, so the fact that this time round he didn't even get onto the podium, let alone come first, it's going to be a bit of a letdown for him.
On the other hand, it's great for Carlos, obviously it's a dream come true for him, I'm sure, but I cannot hide my disappointment too on my own race. It's frustrating.
It's nice to see Charles bigging up his teammate for his win, but yeah, obviously on Charles' side it's going to be frustrating when things don't really go your way.
When I saw them fighting that hard and nearly touching each other, I said, okay, if they touch two cars, you know, it's enough to be in the podium.
Near the end of the race, Fernando was really in there battling with the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, fighting for a potential podium. He was really close to Lewis, Charles and Checo because the other three, as he said, were fighting each other, so that kind of gave him an opportunity to not just catch up to them but potentially overtake them.
It was like a piece of carbon on the track. At the time I realized it was there. I could not drastically move left or right, so I tried to hit it head on. It got into the floor and it completely destroyed like the whole left hand side underneath, so from there onwards I was just losing a lot of time. The car was really undrivable.
It was kind of peak for Max because he started the race well, took the lead of the race, then when the restart happened after the red flag, I believe he took first place again from Carlos Sainz, but then yeah, it was unfortunate, hit a piece of debris that caused massive damage to his car to the point where he experienced a massive drop in performance, and then that caused him to not really be in the running for a podium or anything close to that. Even though Verstappen fell back to 7th, it was kind of damage limitation, getting some points on the board at least, rather than falling out of the points, finishing below 10th.
It's great for the team. I mean, we have a double score in the points. It's obviously very helpful in the constructors, but also for me, I think it's great to just get those questions from the media away and focus on what's really important, and that's the racing.
The F1 media were probably asking questions about Mick due to the fact that he's taken one of the longest amounts of time to get a points finish in Formula 1. So the fact that he's now done it, it's going to definitely ease a lot of pressure off him. Obviously it was brilliant to see Mick get some points on the board for the first time.
Felt really nice. I mean, it's the first time I've properly been racing in the pack and in it, and that was really positive.
When I watched the qualifying and race, I was quite impressed with Nicholas Latifi this weekend because he's been under a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people have been kind of taking the piss out of him before this race, saying he doesn't really deserve to be in Formula 1, but for this weekend he not only got his best ever qualifying position, P10, but he also actually competed with other drivers in this race near the midfield when he's usually at the back.
I mean, I don't want to speak about it now, but it's clearly something we need to speak internally because we're both in the points. It was clearly unnecessary incident, just disappointed about it.
Yeah, for Pierre, obviously it's going to be a bit disappointing when your teammate Yuki just crashes into you. Kind of really played into Checo's hands because at that point of the race Checo was a decent way behind them, but their crash made him get so much closer to them and then he soon overtook them. Unfortunate error there in the AlphaTauri team.
Valtteri, firstly, it's just great news that your teammate was okay after that quite big accident.
Yeah, the main thing is he's fine.
Obviously it was great to see that Zhou, guanyu, also Alex Albon were okay. The Zhou, guanyu incident was obviously a horrific crash.
I just got swamped by all the cars, and next thing I know I got touched from behind in the side of Zhou, and we saw the rest.
It was good sportsmanship by George Russell to go over to Zhou, guanyu to see if he was okay. The crash kind of happened because he veered to the left which kind of pinched Gasly. Gasly had no space to go through, and Gasly made contact with Russell. That caused Russell to make contact with Zhou. But then there was also a bit of stuff behind as well, where Vettel went into the back of Alex Albon. He tried braking, but he didn't brake enough. That caused Alex's car to go out of control, going into the wall and also hitting other cars as well. In the opening lap of the race, just a lot of unfortunate things happened.